Well, hello everyone. My name is Zachary O'Shea, and this is Box of Teeth. Also, happy Leap Day. This is the last day of February for 2024. We've covered a universal antagonist that you can use for a horror-themed Dungeons & Dragons game, and we're now just kind of summarizing with one last plot that you can employ him for, which has a nice twist that you can use, I think, for any one of your Dungeons & Dragons or any other role-playing game, which is a monster mash. Don't worry, I'll tell you what a monster mash to me is in a moment, but first, why am I doing this? I've covered a universal antagonist this month along with his minions, the Lodgemaster, but I know as any fledgling DM or a DM that is really run off of modules and campaign books and the like, doing your own homebrewed plots can be a little difficult. Sure, you have been given monsters, but what do you do with them now? As a note, of course, if you are using modules or a campaign book, that is also perfectly okay. So I wanted to talk about one of my favorite tropes that doesn't get used as often as it could be in role-playing games, and that to me is a monster mash. You could call it villain on villain though if you wanted to. And this comes up in things like Jason versus Freddy. Or if you want to go to D&D, of course, recently with Baldur's Gate 3, you have Auron versus Gortash, though they don't clash directly in the way that you want. And today I'm going to talk about the Lodgemaster and a previous month's universal antagonist, the Relic, in a Frankenstein versus the Wolfman sort of way. Also, I want to note you're going to hear wind chimes in the background. As often is the case, the wind here is very strong today. Now, the Lodgemaster is a demon who in the mortal plane takes on the appearance of a distinguished older gentleman who is a real man's man, an avid hunter, and a ladies' man, and he forms lodges or like institutions full of young noblemen and up-and-coming merchant sons. And within these lodges, he teaches them a very toxic, masculine lifestyle and inducts them into his demonic cult. He really covers 4 sub-horrors of genre, which are body horror, demonic horror, class horror, and corruption horror. On the other hand, the Relic is a little spark of cosmic evil that has been trapped within a soul cage, which makes up her skeleton, and over that is wrapped a waxwork that appears to be a beautiful woman. She takes on the persona of an aggrieved young widow who is really naive about the world, even though the whole time she is scheming to build up her power base and also kind of get all the sort of luxury that she can for herself. And on top of that, the little spark of evil within her wants to fully bloom and plague the world once again. These subgenres of horror that the Relic use are similar. They're body horror, scientific horror, gothic horror, and cosmic horror. And I think right off the bat we can see a couple of different places where they're going to clash. The Lodgemaster is very masculine and very toxic. He is very much about controlling other people and belittling them and hunting them and hurting them whenever you really feel like it and sowing chaos, and that would extend to anything he thinks is beneath him, which includes women, and he would pass that along to the various young men that he is teaching. On the other side of the equation, the Relic is feminine, but she is conniving and secretive and out for her own luxury and really has some of those toxic traits you would expect there as well. So there are 2 opposing forces that also both have something that is terrible in their agenda that are going to clash against one another just naturally like oil and water when they meet. Second, the Lodgemaster wants to corrupt and tear down society. He wants to foment chaos and revolution and suffering. Whereas the Relic is a great supporter of society. She just wants to be the one that is in control of it so she can get all the luxury and perks that she wants. And again, that kind of chaos versus law is going to clash, again, like oil and water when they meet. Lastly, their methods are quite different. The Lodgemaster corrupts what already is. He's taking young noblemen and up-and-coming merchant sons and that sort of stuff, giving them a more infernal sort of outlook as well as powers as they slowly turn into monstrosities, whereas the Relic wants to replace society with her own minions. So she's having people killed off, replacing them with her own waxwork creations, or just bribing them and bullying them into being what she wants them to be. So their methods are also going to clash. So what does that mean for your heroes, your players? Well, either the Relic or the Lodgemaster, they are more than willing to dupe do-gooders into helping them out by pointing them at folks that get in their way. The Lodgemaster could easily take someone that the relic is working with and call a hunt on them and pay heroes to go out and fight them, and the relic would do exactly the same. The relic is not above finding out blackmail information and then giving that to players, so they're going to now interfere with the Lodgemaster's plans. The Lodgemaster is not against just saying, hey, I know these are evil monsters over there, here's some proof, you should go kill them, because, well, that's what he likes to do, and he sends the heroes off in that direction. You could have your heroes ping-ponging back and forth between missions given by either group until they really settle into which group they like. They're still probably going to be duped, and there's going to be a rug pulled out from under them when they finally finish off the Lodgemaster, and then the relic's plans kick into high gear, or vice versa. One thing to consider as well is which one is more entrenched first. You, of course, could have the relic and the Lodgemaster show up in the same area at the same time, but if the Lodgemaster's already been there for a while, perhaps this is a kingdom that he has already corrupted one barony in, and he's spreading out, and everybody kind of knows this dark barony exists, and then the relic comes in and starts fighting back against him as she's reinstituting society and slowly turning popular opinion back against this dark barony. That's one way that you could go. Or vice versa, the relic has already taken over a barony herself and is starting to spread out into a kingdom and cause some issues, and then the Lodgemaster starts forming lodges around the edges that are now fraying the empire that she has built, and of course she's not going to be very happy about that. Why this is really important is you really want to establish who holds the power first and foremost, and what sort of plots are going to stem from that your players will be interacting with. This could all be kicked off simply by an assassination. In one case, the Lodgemaster has a favored callowed youth that he has been grooming, but then the relic kills off and has one of her waxworks replace. Or vice versa, the relic has a powerful waxwork who is in charge of a noble family, but his son is suspicious that something is up and feels that his father is very weak and needs to be replaced because of the Lodgemaster's influence, and kills him off, and lo and behold, his dad was some sort of strange miscreation the entire time, and that starts to kick off the plots that the players are drawn into, or might be directly involved in, as they may have killed off someone and suddenly they're a waxwork. Or they go to rescue this noble son, so they don't get killed off by a waxwork, and oh my goodness, they're actually some horrible monstrosity that it's a mix of wolf and man. What the hell do we do now? Either way, pairing up two arch-villains that are facing off against each other and drawing the heroes into their machinations while doing so without it being obvious at first is a really great way to have a campaign setting put together, and you can draw from the plot ideas from either one of those universal antagonists and use them. If you're interested in that, you of course can watch back through the videos here or go to my YouTube channel. I cover both the Relic and the Lodgemaster and their minions and plots in some detail. Real takeaway from this is the villains are the movers and shakers in your world and in your campaigns. They're the ones that are really driving your heroes to action. So it's really important that you make them realistic. And part of that is they're always going to have rivals that aren't do-gooders, aren't the player characters. There's always going to be something going on in the background, so don't be afraid. In fact, I encourage you to play them off one another. I really hope that you've enjoyed our time together with the Lodgemasters and his minions this month. I'd love to hear how you would use them in your own campaign in the show notes below. You can find all of them, the Relic and all her minions, and hundreds of other horror-themed monsters for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition that are all perfectly free at boxofteeth.blogspot.com. If you're more interested in the non-Dungeons & Dragons horror role-playing projects that I have, or the horror fiction that I write that includes Grace Paint right here, you can always go to www.zacharyoshay.com. As always, I thank you for your time and your attention, and I look forward to seeing you all in March as well. Have a great day.